You're listening to the Blind Tiger Record Club podcast, where we champion music of all genres, and we believe vinyl is king.
Vinyl is king.
Well, let's get to today's show, guys. Let's drop the needle and take a quick listen to the Blind Tiger Record Club's July Spotlight album and new store editions.
As someone sets light to the first fire of autumn, we settle down to cut ourselves apart. Cough and twitch from the news on your face, and some foreign candle burning in your eye. Held to the past, too aware of the pending. Chill as the dawn breaks and finds us up for sale. Into the fog, another low road descending, away from the cold lust, your house and summertime. Blind to the last curse of the fair, pistols and countless eyes. Trail of white blood betrays the reckless route the craft is running. Feet to the sun turns into wood, dousing an ancient torch. Loiter the whole day through and lose yourself in lines dissecting love.
In June of 2001, the Shins released the band's debut album, O Inverted World, on Sub Pop Records. On June 11th of 2021, almost 20 years to the day, Sub Pop is releasing the anniversary remastered edition of this album. The Shins are an indie rock band, and it's possible that they would have remained really underground had it not been for the immediate licensing of Shins music to a variety of media. They have uses on TV shows, commercial ads, but the placement that made the band kind of indie rock legends, like almost right out the gate, I'd say within the first 2 years, was the use of two of the songs in a film written, directed, and starred by Zach Braff, Garden State. It was released in 2004, and Braff also served as the music director for the film and produced the compilation soundtrack. He actually received a Grammy.
Yeah, the soundtrack is like one of the most, just like the Shins, like music on it, like that soundtrack is known, for how great it was.
Yeah, it was one of those like Cameron Crowe things where people like the music is so integral to the film.
Scenes
and it's
everything.
ironic because, we just talked last show about Elliott Smith, and it had the exact same tie-in with Good Will Hunting, not only breaking the artist and kind of establishing the sound, but also having it be such an important part of the film.
Yeah.
And Zach Braff, as he he won the Grammy in 2005 for Best Compilation Soundtrack Album for Motion Picture, Television, or Other Visual Media. And he also was nominated for a Broadcast Film Critics Association Award for Best Soundtrack. So it was definitely considered, for whatever reason, the songs that he put together and the way it worked with the film as a whole was
perfect.
Yeah. And two of the tracks were Shins. And again, it's kind of like Elliott Smith. It's not just that there were two of them. It's also where they were used, how they were used, all of that. And
you could argue like that's one of the biggest Shin songs that became kind of like the crucial, moment in the movie too.
Yeah.
Or like one of the bigger moments in the movie.
I think I'll go home and mull this over for a crown it down my throat. At long last it's crashed, it's colossal mass is broken up into bits in my world.
Sub Pop's original sales projections for the Shins album was about 10,000 units. The album's now been certified gold, and the reissue actually just peaked at 152 on Billboard 200, and originally it never even charted on Billboard 200. So, I think, this has been a really, not only an important album for the Shins, but really it was an important release for Sub Pop. In many ways, it kind of helped define their future releases. I mean, they've had bands like Iron and Wine, Band of Horses, Postal Service. So a lot of things that...
And all those bands could tour together.
Yeah.
Like
and
very similar.
And that's a lot different than the way Sub Pop was before this album hit.
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of freed them up to kind of go in a different direction and kind of have a little niche that they've done very well with.
Yes.
So it's just an important record, I think, for both the group and the label. And it's always nice when you kind of see that happen because it's not always that way.
Yeah.
James Mercer is the founder, lead vocalist, and lead songwriter of the Shins. On the remastered edition, Mercer oversaw the mastering himself. He worked with Bob Ludwig and just kind of wanted to make sure that he had this exactly the way that he wanted it. Evidently, he has never really loved the finished master on the original. So this was his chance to kind of like
get a do-over
set the record
in a
straight,
way,
so to speak. Yeah, so he went in and he oversaw that. So this is not just a label remastering something and sticking it out.
Yeah.
Mercer is also part of the side project Broken Bells with producer Danger Mouse. So if you may have even heard of his work outside of the band as well.
They had a couple really big hits back in the 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s.
One of the biggest breakout songs off of this album was a song called New Slang. NPR called the song a masterpiece on All Things Considered in 2014. Rolling Stone said that the song could have come off an Elliott Smith album and was the most affecting song off the album. So, again, there's like that natural connection. I don't know how you can avoid it.
I kind of get that because it's got that like double tracked vocal, the Elliott Smith signature, basically.
Yep. Well, the song has been streamed over 212 million times. It was synced in Scrubs, The OC, The Sopranos, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. MTV used it on that reality show Newlyweds, the one with Nick and Jessica Simpson.
I hadn't thought about that in a minute.
Yeah, I try not to think.
Yeah,
but the big ad placement that this song had was on a McDonald's ad that aired in the 2002 Winter Olympics. But just like the song we just played, "Caring Is Creepy," the big sync for this song was Garden State.
Yeah.
In the movie, Natalie Portman's character hands her headphones to Zach Braff's character and tells him, "You got to hear this one song. It'll change your life, I swear." That song that she was handing him to hear was the song "New Slang."
Gold teeth and a curse for this town are all in my mouth. Only I don't know how they got out here. Turn me back into the bed I was when we met. I was happier then with no mindset. And if you turn to me like God takes to win. Well, I'd jump from my trees and die and dance like a king in the ice. So the rest of our lives would be well.
New Slang is something I would refer to as modern folk music. It's very stripped down, softly sung, but it's a well-crafted song that tells a story and generates a vibe to the listener. I also think one of the benefits of this record that a lot of times really isn't so apparent is that the remaster of this record, it's a wider record. There's more air. It's printed a little hotter, and it's just a better sounding album from the mastering aspect than the original. A lot of times, remastering is more of a marketing technique than it is actually anything really being changed with the record. It's just slight EQ difference. Maybe songs are moved up or down as far as space in between them, but there's really not a lot of difference done. It really is just kind of go into the studio for the afternoon, you come out with what is kind of a new product and you sell it. But this one I can actually hear it, and it's great for that.
Yeah. Well, this album has risen to kind of iconic status in indie rock circles. In 2008, Pitchfork included the song New Slang in the Pitchfork 500, which is the greatest songs from punk to present. They ranked it number 62. In 2011, Rolling Stone listed the song at number 57 on the 100 best songs of the 2000s. You know, the anniversary edition comes with a die-cut jacket and a classy inner sleeve. The package is kind of rounded off with a big booklet that has vintage photos, handwritten lyrics, and more.
And the cover is inverted.
Yep.
How about
Bottom line, this is the version that Mercer always wanted. So, you know, he made sure that this anniversary edition literally had everything that he missed. And so you want to pick this one up. It is limited edition, so we don't, you know, we'll have it while we have it. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Blind Tiger Record Club on air. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion on the July Spotlight album and some of our new store editions for the month. Some other titles that we added that you might want to check out include Japanese Breakfast, who just released her new album, Jubilee. It features the single Be Sweet that's working its way up the AAA charts right now. We also added 2 releases from the band Audio Web, the self-titled debut and the second album, Fireworks City. This band was released in 1996 on a label that U2 started, and they created it to kind of develop acts. It's called Mother Records, and the group didn't really do much in the U.S., but if you're a fan of Bono and U2, you can listen to a record that they were really passionate about in the late 90s. This is the first time these albums have been reissued on vinyl. Just head to blindtigerrecordclub.com and click on the record store link, and you'll see the new store editions listed in the drop-down menu. If you want to find out more about any of the albums that we discussed or mentioned tonight, head to the website, and you can read about any and all of the records that we talked about on this show. You can also learn how to become a member. One of the biggest perks to membership is that you don't miss out on these albums. So many albums can be hard to find after release. And with a club membership, you secure your copy every month. You also get emails, new release notices emailed to you to help keep you in the know on what's available, new, and obviously in the world of vinyl, they're usually pretty rare. So members get vinyl shipped for free. So it really is a great way to keep from missing out on vinyl that you really want to get. If you want a crash course on this month's Record of the Month, just listen to the last show where we discussed each album in the program for July. Our next on-air episode is July 26th, so mark your calendar, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, right after the 615. We'll be discussing the August Records of the Month. Also, we have an LP interview that's podcast only. We'll be sitting down with rock legend Damon Johnson to discuss his career and new album.
Damon is an amazing guitarist and songwriter that has been playing with bands like Thin Lizzy, still is in Thin Lizzy. Alice Cooper's written songs with Sammy Hagar and
Santana
and
Stevie
Nicks, and the list goes on and on. Damon has a brand new record from his brand new band. It's called Damon Johnson and the Get Ready. The album is called Battle Lessons. We're going to go over that, as well as great key moments in his career, some amazing stories. So if you're a classic rock fan, you're a guitar fan, guitar player, you're just a fan of good stories, tune into this one. You'll really enjoy it.
Yep. So that'll air on July 19th, so next Monday. It will be available on most podcast platforms, all major ones like Apple, Spotify, YouTube. So make sure you catch that one next week. Please follow the podcast, like us, leave reviews and comments, tell your friends about the show, email Lightning100. Stay up to date on all we're doing by signing up for our email list at the website. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. So make sure you plug in somewhere and follow us, but most importantly, keep coming back. Lastly, thank you to Lightning 100 for always supporting local art and events and even shows like ours. Until next time, keep the wax spinning.